Well, hi YouTubers, okay, I'm back with the Physics for 100 books and a new location. We're in my garden because it's such a beautiful, beautiful day that I couldn't spend it cooped up indoors. So I've got some coconut water with pomegranate, which is amazing. I've got this beautiful, beautiful garden and it's just nice, you know, it's a lovely, lovely day. So let's talk about the book I'm going to review today. So, the shades, I'm actually photosensitive, so my eyes are allergic to sun. So it's wondering what I look like without them. Here we go. Okay, and that's close as we're actually going to get. Okay, so here we go. Neil Gaiman, Norse Mythology. Now, I absolutely adored this book. Honestly, it's not a long book. It's just about over 200 odd pages, and it is so good. Now, I've actually met Neil Gaiman. I've met him on a few occasions. Funny enough, first time. Okay, it's quite embarrassing, but what the hell. I didn't know who he was. Now, back in my teenage years, the late great Sir Terry Pratchett did a author event at Forbidden Planet, but it was held actually around the corner at like this bar, okay? And so I met Sir Terry, who was absolutely marvellous, and next to him was Neil Gaiman. Now, obviously, I had no idea who Neil Gaiman was at this point. I've read nothing of his work. But I remember this guy, quite attractive, messy dark hair, and a couple of months later, I was reading Good Omens, and it twigged who that guy was. Oh, Good Omens is a fantastic book. It's a collaboration with Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, and it's an amazing, amazing book. And then a few years after that, there was an author event for Coraline when I actually met Neil Gaiman then, and fantastic bloke, really, really nice and polite. He likes talking to all his fans. He's just a really nice guy, and obviously now he's kind of launched into the stratosphere with obviously Stardust and Lucifer. Now, funny enough, for those who watch Lucifer, there's like these 2 bonus episodes, okay, where the voice of God narrates. It's kind of like a what if episode, if things that never happened in the actual show, narrated himself by Neil Gaiman. So I was like, yeah, Neil Gaiman's God. Okay, fine. So yeah, so I love Neil Gaiman. I absolutely love this book. So here we go. The great Norse myths, which have inspired so many modern fiction, are dazzlingly retold by Neil Gaiman. Tales of dwarves and frost giants, of treasures and magic, and of Asgard, home to the gods. Odin, the All-Father, highest and oldest of the Aesir, his mighty son Thor, whose hammer Mjolnir makes the mountain giants tremble. Loki, wily and handsome. Reliably unreliable in his lusts, and Freya, more beautiful than the sun or the moon, who spurns those who seek to control her. From the dawn of the world to the twilight of the gods, this is a thrilling, vivid retelling of the Norse myths from award-winning bestseller Neil Gaiman. And I loved this book. The thing is, back when I was quite young, like reading like The Sword and the Stone by T.H. White, and it's kind of like very much like that. It's kind of setting these stories up to kind of mythical structure. It reminded me of very much like The Sword and the Stone, which is a fantastic book, and I really, really do recommend it. It is just so brilliantly retold. Neil has this amazing ability to take these old stories that have been passed down through the centuries and kind of breathe new life into them. It makes his characters quite nuanced, quite complicated. And one thing I love is this, because obviously due to the Marvel films, you have your own kind of mentality of what they all look like. Yes, to me Loki looked like Tom Hiddleston, Thor looked like Chris Hemsworth, yeah, and obviously Odin was Anthony Hopkins, not a bad thing, by the way. So it's nice just kind of imagining the way you imagine it based on obviously the most popular retelling at the moment. But it says even by the Financial Times, you can imagine these books being told orally. They're perfect for oral storytelling. It's kind of like sit down by the fire and just having these stories told to you. It'd be perfect as an anthology series, especially since tales of, well, things like shows like Vikings and obviously once again the Marvel films are becoming a bit more mainstream. Just a glimpse of how brilliant the storytelling is. This is a bit here. This is world building, obviously, but it kind of goes just the style and structure of the writing. Here we go. Asgard, the home of the Aesir. This is where Odin makes his home. Alfheim, where the light elves live. The light elves are as beautiful as the sun or the stars. Nidavel, what is sometimes called Svartalfheim, where the dwarves, who are also known as the Dark Elves, live beneath the mountains and build their remarkable creations. Midgard, which is the world of women and men, and the world in which we make our home. Joined here where the frost giants and the mountains giants wander and live and have their halls. Vanheim, where the Vanir live, the Azir and the Vanir gods united by peace treaties, and many Vanir gods live in Asgard with the Azir. Nilfheim, the dark mist world. Muspel, the world of flame where Sutra waits, and there is the place named after its ruler Hel, where the dead go who did not die bravely in battle. Just that one section really kind of establishes the world. This is a book where it doesn't waste time with exposition, okay? It takes it for granted that even though for us who have a rudimentary knowledge of Norse stories, if you will, it's very, very easily done. It doesn't talk down as a lot of books would in this kind of thing. There's a few bits this what I loved, okay? This is establishing Loki, because obviously Loki is a fan favourite, Marvel films, notwithstanding. And here we go. Loki was handsome and he knew it. People wanted to like him, they wanted to believe him, but he was undependable and self-centered at best, mischievous or evil at worst. He married a woman named Sigrun, who had been happy and beautiful when Loki courted and married her, but now always looked like she was expecting bad news. She bore him a son, Nafi. Shortly after, another son, Vali. Sometimes Loki would vanish for long periods and not return, and then Sigrun would look like she was expecting the very worst news of all. But always Loki would come back to her looking very shifty and guilty, and also if he was very proud of himself indeed. 3 times he went away, 3 times he eventually returned. The 3rd time Loki returned to Asgard, Odin called Loki to him. "I've dreamed a dream," said the wise old one-eyed god. "You have children." Now, I like the detachment of text. A lot of other authors would have taken the first-person narrative. This keeps like a distance. Once again, a form of oral storytelling. It's kind of more grandeur. Once again, I guess, hey, going back to Sword and Stone, why not? So it's that kind of early kind of stories that you read in your childhood. It's that similar structure. Now, there's this bit here. Now, I'm going to confess right now, I really, really wish this had been expanded upon. I'm going to tell you why. Funny story time. Okay? Right. A friend of mine called her child Loki. Okay? Because of the films. Because she likes Tom Hiddleston. So she called her kid Loki. Now, I said it wasn't a good idea because of this story here. Okay? The Master Builder. Now, I wanted this more developed upon because, okay, here's the story. So, in Asgard, this Master Builder comes along, okay, to build a wall around the castle, if you will. And it comes a Master Builder with a stallion who basically says, "I want lots of riches and money, and then I want the hand of Lady Frigga." Okay? Well, they agree because they think one guy can't do this, but he, with his magnificent stallion, manages to do it. So they get really, really concerned. So Loki turns himself into a beautiful, beautiful broad mare and seduces the stallion. Long story short, Loki seduces the stallion. The Master Builder doesn't get what he asked for, and then a couple of months later, Loki gives birth to an 8-legged horse. Okay, which, if for those who remember the first Marvel film, Odin comes riding on that horse. That's like Loki's kid. Now, when I told her this story, which is what I actually knew, okay, her reaction was, "Why would you tell me that? Because no one else knows that story." And I'm thinking, well, hey, you do you, but I know that story. I'm so tempted by a little Loki. I should actually call him Loki, riding lessons. So, that kind of thing. I just wanted that more expanded upon in some ways because it made me smile because this is a story which I knew the ending. Okay, I mean this bit. I'm going to this. Strange enough, it was most unlike him. Loki was not around to be praised for his part in luring away the horse Sladafari. No one knew where he was, though those were who spoke of magnificent chestnut mare seen on the meadows beneath Asgard. Loki stayed away for the best part of a year, and when he showed up again, he was accompanied by a grey foal. It was a beautiful foal, though it had 8 legs, instead of the usual 4, and it followed Loki whenever it went, and nuzzled him, and treated Loki as if it were its mother, which of course was the case. The foal grew into a horse called Sleipnir. a huge grey stallion, the fastest, the strongest horse that had ever there been or there ever would be, a horse that could outrun the wind. Loki presented Sleipnir to Odin as a gift, the best horse among gods and men. Many people would admire Odin's horse, but only a brave man would ever mention its parentage in Loki's presence, and no one ever dared to allude to it twice. Yeah, I love to have that expanded upon in some ways, but it did make me smile. As I knew the ending, it made me smile. So one thing I like is this. I mean, he doesn't hold back on what an absolute bastard Loki is. Loki is an absolute dick. Loki basically destroys the hair of Odin's wife, Lady Frigga. He makes her bald. He due to his actions, people die. He doesn't hold back with Loki, and I actually respected that. A lot of other authors would have taken another opposite direction. I mean, one of the chapters is actually called The Last Days of Loki, and I'm not going to spoil that chapter because it's really, really good. However, one thing is this, with this retelling, it kind of also shows how mythology is kind of connects across time. Now this is about Balder, okay, who was killed by a spear of mistletoe by a blind god called Hod. Okay, with obviously Loki, you know, and the similarities to Achilles from Greek mythology as well. I mean, it's fascinating to see how the parallels across the different mythologies kind of interconnect. And, intentional or not, I really, really love this chapter too. So, yeah, it's difficult to really go into this book because I don't want to spoil anything, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was just, I read this on the flight home from Budapest, which was like over a month ago, but I really, really enjoyed this book. It's fun, it's sharp, it's witty, it's to the point. It doesn't waste words. Neil has this way of easily setting up a structure of the location and not wasting a single word. This is just a really, really good book, and I like to see this, hey, maybe one day turn into another TV show. They're quite interesting. So, anyway, sign up here, YouTubers, Physics by 100 Books, and bye now.